Hello everyone. This week the challenge in the Facebook group, the Mixed Media Emporium, is to create your 2022 journal, or journals. Make more than one if you want to. Now you can do this in any style you like. If you are into tea bag painting, make a tea bag journal. If you like working with recycled envelopes, do an envelope journal. If you like using paper bags, do that. Do it in any style you like. Now I absolutely loved working in this journal last year. This is my 2021 Usual Scraps journal. The size for me was absolutely perfect, and this measures 8¼ inches high by 6¼ inches wide, and the spine is 2 inches. So those are the measurements there. If anybody wants to use these for theirs, take a screenshot of that if you want to. Now, of course, I used recycled gift wrap to cover mine and Amazon packaging, and this has served me really, really well. I've got an elastic binding and I want to do a very similar thing this year. So I've cut myself 2 pieces of chipboard, 3 pieces of chipboard, 2 for the front and back cover. And again, I'll just repeat those measurements. Here we go. Let me just pop that there. So 8¼ inches by 6¼ inches. And of course, the spine is 8¼ by 2 inches. So what I am going to use to cover my journal with this year is another piece of gift wrap. I found out this gift wrap that I used last year was gifted to me by a friend of mine. Dot saves all of the gift wrap that hers and her friends have when they're opening presents, and she won't let anybody throw anything away. And you know, every now and again she'll just give me a wad of the most beautiful papers to use. But I found where this came from. It came from a shop not far from where I live. So this is just leftover from a roll that I've been using to wrap gifts myself. And I just want to do the same size journal and just continue with the theme, but obviously I didn't want to repeat exactly the same thing again. Isn't this just absolutely gorgeous? And for anybody who is interested, hang on, does that go that way up? I think it does, doesn't it? This wallpaper is either made or sold, probably sold, by a company called globeenterprise.co.uk, so a UK-based company. I think you can only buy from them if you want it on a wholesale basis, but you know, you might be able to search Amazon or eBay and see if you can get hold of the odd roll yourselves if you want to. I just think this is absolutely beautiful. So this is what I am going to be using this year for my cover. Glue wise, I am going to be using my art glitter glue. I've just recently bought one of these big tubs because I absolutely love this glue. So I'm just going to fill a well with some of this, and let's start putting my journal together. I've got myself a paintbrush. This is just a fairly soft paintbrush, and what I'm going to do, I'm working on a piece of parchment paper here to catch any of the excess. I'm just going to paint one side of my spine. We'll start off with the spine and work our way out. This is exactly the same method that I used for my journal last year, but this was really easy and, you know, it stood the test of time. So let me just, whoops, I've dropped it. Hang on, Butterfingers. Let me just bring this wallpaper in, and I'm just going to stick that down in the middle, and I'm going to do the same with the other 2 sides as well. Let's just flip that over. I don't know why. It makes absolutely no difference whatsoever which side I apply the glue to. And this is just chipboard, just a piece of chipboard. Use the back of one of your either mixed media or watercolour pads if you want to. Any sturdy chipboard will do absolutely fine. You could even use a cereal box, but I would say you want a cereal box with a bit of weight to it. That's that. Let's glue this down as well. And what I'm doing, I don't want to get glue. Hang on, let me just grab another piece of parchment paper just to put over the top there, just so that I don't get glue to the back of my wallpaper, my wrapping paper. You want to leave a very small gap. You don't want it completely up close. So I think that will be, I'm just eyeballing this, but that should be absolutely fine. And so I'm just going to glue the left hand side down in exactly the same way. As you can see, these are glued down now, and I'm just going to use a couple of really heavy books just to weight those down, and I'm going to leave that for 5 minutes or so. This art glitter glue dries really quickly. Before I do that, what I will do is put any of the excess glue back into my container, because, you know, this stuff's expensive and I don't want to waste it, and I don't want it to dry up before the next stage either. So, you know, if you put it into a container like this, it's really easy just to pop it back in. There we are, waste not, want not. This has been weighted down underneath those heavy books for 5 minutes or so, so I'm ready to move on to the next stage. Now, what I do want to do is just trim this slightly. I have got far too much gift wrap, so I just want to get rid of some of the excess. You can see as well that I didn't glue mine on particularly straight. It doesn't matter at all. So I'm just going to trim this up, trying to get it fairly even on all sides. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's trim this so that that this is even. It doesn't have to be, but I know that that's going to bother me. So let's see if we can make this a little bit more even, and I'll do this all the way around. The next thing I want to do is just cut myself some triangles here. Now, you don't want to go right to the very edge of your corner. Let's have a look. If I do it about there, you can always cut more off if you haven't quite taken enough. That should be fine. And I'm just going to go around and do the same thing to all of the other corners as well. Here we are, just like this. And then before I start, what I want to do, let's have a look and see how I want to do this. I just want to cut, let me just make a pencil mark. In fact, if I do it in white, I'll be able to see it better. Just a pencil mark here like this, because what I want to do next is cut a very small triangle, not right to the very edge, but just to take a tiny bit of the bulk, so that when we fold it, we just get a much neater job. Can you see what I'm doing here? So just making a really tiny triangle. And I'll do that on the other two sides as well. If I hold it up, you might be able to see that just a little bit better. Bringing back the parchment paper and also adding some more glue to my well, we're ready to start gluing things down. So I'm just going to start off here and just apply a bit of glue on this edge here. Make sure that you get plenty sort of on this flat bit of the chipboard as well. And I'm just going to fold that over. Work my way along. I can now do the spine. And we'll fold that over as well, and I'm just going to repeat that on the bottom as well once I've done this piece here. But just make sure that you add some glue just onto the flat bit of your chipboard as well, and don't be shy, add plenty of glue. We want this to stick well. And finally, we just need to glue these sides. Now, what we need to do is just pinch down these edges here. And what I like to do is just add a small amount of glue here like this, and then fold that in again, just so that that's nice and neat. We'll add a bit of glue here, need a bit more, and just fold that in as well. Just pinch it down, and just fold like this, and then we can add glue all over, just making sure again that we've got plenty on this flat edge of the chipboard, plenty on the edges as well. So plenty along this edge here, as you can see. If you need to lift this up and apply more glue, then do so, and then we'll fold that over as well. Just try and really sort of bring it in as tightly as you can. And I'm going to do exactly the same on this side here. This is what I've got so far. Isn't it just absolutely beautiful? I love that gift wrap. And that's what it looks like on the inside. So nice and neat so far. Now, before I do anything else, I want to give this a coat of matte medium just to protect this paper. This handmade gift wrap is really porous, so this will help to protect it. And all I'm going to do is just pour some on. Let's do one side at a time. And I'm just going to coat this all over, working on a piece of parchment paper again, just to catch any of the mess. I might give this 2 coats. We'll see how it is after one, but just making sure that that all of this gift wrap is covered, and it's actually bringing out the colour in this gift wrap even more. It served me well last year. It really did protect my cover. So well worth doing. And matte medium dries really quickly anyway. And there we have it. So just make sure that we've got some over those edges as well. We can do the same here. Use the excess that's already on the brush and just make sure that you go all the way around. And what I have decided to do is stick this down onto a piece of fresh clean parchment paper. So let's just peel this. I'm also just going to make sure that I get rid of any of the excess. We've got a little bit of excess that you can see that has pulled on the other side. Let's deal with that as well. Probably me being heavy-handed and using way too much glue, but just smooth that out. And then I've got a piece of tissue here. Let's move those blobbies off and let's just pop that down and leave it to dry. The matte medium is dry now, and so my cover is sealed, and in my opinion it's well worth taking the time to do this. You could use watered down PVA glue or watered down Mod Podge if you wanted to, but I just like the matte effect of matte medium. Now, I did exactly the same thing with last year's journal, and you can just see how clean it's remained. So in my opinion it really does protect your cover. Now, I do want to break up some of the busyness of this gorgeous pattern in the same way that I did with this journal here. It just looks so much better with just a break of plain colour, just to break things up a little bit. So I've got another piece of this linen fabric, the same kind of stuff that I used for last year's journal. The original one I got was from the scrap store, but I'm running out. I did find some on Amazon, and if I remember, I will leave the link to where I got mine from in the description box below. But you can see that I've cut it wider than the 2-inch spine and taller as well, so that I've got enough just to wrap this over. And of course that will all be disguised by the time I add my inside covering. So what I want to do to start off with is just apply some glue to this edge here. Now, do I add fabric glue or do I go ahead and just use my art glitter glue? I've got that on hand, so that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is just apply mainly around the edges here a really good amount of the art glitter glue, and I'm going to smooth this out with my finger as well, because what I don't want to happen is for the glue to bleed through. Now, I do want to cover the whole of this area here. Apologies for the scratching noise, so just make sure I've got plenty of glue here. And then, as I've said, I'm just going to spread this out with my finger just to make sure that the whole of that surface is covered. So here we go. So we just spread this out, making sure that we've got plenty to the edges, like this. Make sure the whole of that area is covered. Really rub that in. You could use Fabri-Tac as well if you wanted to. I used Fabri-Tac last year. It's just that I've got my art glitter glue to hand this year. And then let's just pop my spine down. Which way do I want it to go? It can go that way, around. And then I think the easiest thing to do is just eyeball the centre, so that you've got it fairly even, top to bottom and left to right, and just really press that down. Now we can turn it over and we can press this. Now we might get a tiny amount of bleed through. I did last year, but by the time it had dried, any of the seepage had completely disappeared. But it is well worth rubbing it out with your fingers just to disperse that glue. And then what we need to do then is just apply glue over the edge here, just to make sure that we glue the rest of it down. And we're just going to have to do this bit by bit. So we need to make sure that we've got plenty along that edge here, and spread that out until you get to the bottom of where that ruffled edge is. You can see that I've frayed my edges. I like that look. Do it bit by bit as well. So we can fold this over and press this down, and then just lift it up until the whole of your area is covered in glue. And then do exactly the same thing then on the other side. There we are. That should do it. Wipe off any excess. Just make sure that your work is nice and neat. And then we can do exactly the same thing on this side here as well. And then we can open out the booklet and we can just apply some glue along this edge here. And again, just do it bit by bit, just making sure that, all the surface is covered, paying attention as well, particular attention to this edge here. I want to make sure that we've got plenty of glue on there so that fabric sticks, and then fold that over as well. And just press into that crease here like this, and I'm going to turn that around and do exactly the same thing on the other end. So again, just make sure that we've got some on that edge. We want to make sure that glues maybe a bit more just here like this, and then spread the glue out to make sure we've got enough for that fabric to stick. And then bring that over nice and neatly. And again, just press into those folds. And that's what it looks like. How gorgeous is that? So for the final stage of the cover, I want to add the inside. And again, as I did for my last one, I'm going to be using Amazon packaging. I love how neutral this looks against that beautiful, colourful background. It just makes this stand out all the more. So that's what I am going to use. It's really wrinkled, and that's absolutely fine. I'm happy with that. Now, what I do want to do is just round the corners. I've got my small X-cut corner rounder. So I'm just folding my paper bag in half, as you can see, paper packaging, and let's just round those corners. There we go. Let's just get rid of those bits. So hopefully this should fit nicely, and I find that folding them in half and just taking a little bit off at a time until it fits absolutely perfectly is the easiest way to go. I've just measured the length and the height of my spine, and I've just kept trimming it down until I feel that this is the perfect fit. So I think that's about right for me. So what I am going to do now, which side do I want this to go? That side or that side? I think we'll have it this way up. So I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to use a glue stick initially to glue this down. Let me just grab one, and I'm just going to make sure that I apply plenty of glue all over the whole of this, paying particular attention to the edges, but I want glue absolutely everywhere. This paper is so thin that glue stick is absolutely fine for this, so I don't see the need to go in with wet glue. So we'll go all around the edges. Just make sure that we've got glue over the whole of this background. Now that's completely covered in glue stick, and I do want to add some of this glue just around the edge as well, just because this is much stronger, and I just want to make sure that the edges are definitely going to grab. And I shall smooth this out with my finger as well. I did this method last year and my journal has remained intact, so I know that this method works without anything coming unglued. So I'm just going to use my finger now just to take that glue all the way to the very edge. There we are, that's that. Move that out of the way. In fact, we'll turn it round this way. Bring my journal cover back. Which way round does it need to be? Not that it really matters anyway. And I'm just going to now really carefully glue this down. Just like that. And I'm going to take a clean piece of kitchen towel, and I'm just going to really carefully now just rub over the surface. We might end up with a few wrinkles, but if you press hard enough, they will disappear. Just make sure that that is glued all around the edges, just like this. It's not going to be perfect, you know, at the end of the day this is a scrap journal. The odd wrinkle is just going to add to the texture. Just burnish everything down with either a tissue or your fingers just to make sure that that glue has grabbed. Now the one thing you do want to make sure you do is just press down into those creases on your spine. So do that. Otherwise it's just going to lift and be really odd. So you really do need to press into those grooves, and then just make sure that that glue again is just secure around the edges. And that's what we've got. So I'm just going to keep playing with this, and you know, apply more glue if you feel it needs it around the edges, and as soon as I've done that I'll be straight back. I did end up adding some matte medium to the inside cover as well, just to protect that. And where I tried to rub out the wrinkles, you can see that it's left a couple of marks. This has been drying overnight. Now to get over that, I'm going to use some of my Authentico chalk wax and just take advantage of that. See if we can disguise some of these marks and take advantage of the wrinkles as well, because what I'm hoping is that the white chalk wax will highlight those wrinkles. Here we go. I just really like the way this looks. So I'm just going to go ahead and rub this all over, and you can just see where the white wax is picking up some of that detail. So I'm just going to go off and go over the whole of the inside, and as soon as I've done that I will be back. It looks much better. It now looks as if the wrinkles were intentional. It's just a shame that we've got more on the back than we have on the front, but hey ho. Now I do want to add some of these corner protectors as well. I did this with my Usual Scraps journal for 2021, and I like the way that these look, and it is the corners that tend to take the wear and tear. I'm just using my pliers just to try and squeeze these in place. I would have used my acrylic ones, but Alex has still got them from where he was making those models before Christmas. I must get them back off him. So I'm going to play around with this and just make sure that I've got those on properly. I want to do the elastic binding method again, because it just makes it so easy to pull the pages out to work on them and move things around if you want to. I've got two shades of purple, and either would work. This one here is some elastic that I got from Tiger Shop here in the UK. It's 1mm in diameter. This is as well. This one here came from beadsunlimited.co.uk. So beading, elastic, haberdashery, elastic, I'm sure it's all the same kind of stuff. I really like this purple. It's the most gorgeous shade. So this is the one I'm going to use. Now what I will do is just singe the end. I've got one of these lighters. You could use a match just to stop that elastic starting to unravel. You can see the other end and where it started to go a bit fluffy at the top. So I shall do it in exactly the same way as I did previously. Let's leave ourselves a long tail so that I can decorate it if I want to. And I'm just going to simply wrap this elastic round 3 times. So 1, 2 and 3. There we are. Hold onto it because it will just all unravel if you let go. I'm just going to chop this off now, about there, like that. And what you want to do is cross those tails over and then wrap one of them underneath through the 3. Do you see what I mean? And then tie it in a knot. I'm going to tie a knot twice. 1 and then 2. I've not pulled my elastic too tight. I think last year I probably had it wrapped a bit too tightly, and you could see that the tail started off really long but got tighter and tighter as the journal got full. So that will do me. Now let's just cut one end off. Whoops, I don't want to. Let's chop that off a little bit, and again I'm just going to singe this end as well. And then maybe we can have something on the end like I did before just to decorate it. Let me just see what I can find. I used some of this lace here with these little daisy design on it, and I want to do the same this year. I don't want to introduce another colour. I could use the pink if I wanted to, and it would match, but I'd rather have purple. So what I've decided to do is colour my own. So let me just chop off 4 of these, and I'm just going to cut them in 2 as well, and I'm going to colour these with an alcohol marker. You could use alcohol ink if you want to. I've just got the perfect colour in an alcohol marker, so there we go. Let's pop that off to one side. Let me just move that out of the way and bring it here. I've got one of these pro markers. Now these have got a chisel end and a bullet end. I'm going to use the chisel end, and let me just unravel this. It's all balled up on the underside, and I'm just going to colour it. And then I can set that off to one side then to dry. I'll have to do it on both sides, but then that will be the perfect colour for my elastic. What have I done with the elastic? I've just put it in a bag, but look, the colour is just ideal. So I'm going to do this, and then I'll just give it a quick blast with my heat tool. Being an alcohol marker, it should dry really quickly, and then I'll show you how I'm planning on attaching this to my elastics. Oh, I'm glad to say that has worked like a charm. So let me just decide which is the front and which is the back, and then what I'm going to do is just add a small dab of glue just in the centre, just like this. I'm using 3 in 1 for this. And then I'm just going to fold it onto the end of my elastic like this. And I'm just going to clip that in place. Let's grab one of these. It just happens to be purple. That was purely coincidental. So we just pop one of those on the end just to hold it in place until the glue is dry. Let's do the same with this one here. Hang on, we've got an air bubble. Let's just put a small dollop in each of the centres. We don't want much. And again, pop that on the end and clip that in place. There we go. We've got a green one this time. and I'll just keep those on there until I know that that glue is well and truly dried. But the reason I like these little lace flowers is that they don't add any bulk, so when you're working in your journal, you know, it's not bumpy like beads would be. Little charms are now stuck down, and that's what they look like. I just think those look absolutely perfect. The colour, oh my goodness me, I just can't believe how perfect it is. So this is what my journal looks like, well, the cover anyway, front and back, and that's what it looks like on the inside. I'm going to save adding the signatures for another video because I want to take my time and choose those really carefully. The thing that I really liked about my journal in 2021 was the fact that the cover was just so appealing. I just absolutely loved it. It really inspired me, and I took my time as well choosing the pages that I used for the signature, and I want to do the same with this journal here. So I'm going to go through the Flourish journal that I put together last week. Hang on, let me just grab that. It's on the floor, so for anybody who hasn't seen this particular video, I'll leave the link in the description box below. This is my Flourish style journal, and I will be pulling lots of bits and pieces out of this. You can see that I found another piece of gift wrap as well, and I will be adding to this you know, all the time, but this just fills me with inspiration. I just have so many papers in here that I just absolutely love. So some of them will come from this. I also have a huge stash of wallpaper and other supplies as well. So as I say, I'm going to take my time and come up with some beautiful bits and pieces that I can fill this for my signatures. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I do want to apologise for my croaky voice in the second half of this video. We went to a wedding yesterday, absolutely brilliant. We had a great time, but the disco was so loud that we were having to shout to have any kind of conversation. And of course I woke up this morning and I could hardly speak. So I'm not ill, don't worry, I'm not ill. It's just that I have lost my voice through shouting so much last night. We had a whale of a time. It was absolutely great. I feel really old because lots of our friends now, their children are getting married. This is the second wedding that we've been to in the last couple of months. Oh my goodness me, there we go, sort of, you know, in my mid-50s now, and gosh, it's just gone so quickly. But, you know, I do hope that you've enjoyed today's video, and for anybody that wants to follow along with the prompts this year, I will leave the link to the Facebook group, the Mixed Media Emporium, in the description box below. Do feel free to come along and join us. Just to remind you, there are a couple of entry questions that you will need to answer, and if you don't answer those, your request to join will be automatically declined. We also do insist as well that you add, when you start to follow along with us in the Facebook group, that you add the prompt that your post relates to. Otherwise we just delete everything, and it's not meant to offend anybody. It's just to keep, you know, the group sort of as it's intended. It's a prompt related group, but you know, do feel free to come along and join us. There is a massive amount of inspiration in the group, full of very, very talented artists, right from beginners through to advanced. Don't forget to go and check out Kylie's video this week as well, because no doubt she's come up with something completely different to me. But if you've enjoyed this video today, as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Do, you know, let me know what you think in the comments below as well. I appreciate your comments, and it's the only way I have of communicating with you and seeing who's following along. But most importantly, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone, and I will be back in a couple of days' time to fill this gorgeous, gorgeous journal with some wonderful, colourful pages. Take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.